A very good afternoon, everyone. Let's all be seated. Tehmina Kaoosji here. It's an absolute pleasure to be with you all here. And Southeast Asia, ladies and gentlemen, is no longer asking if AI will change our future. The real question is, who will own that future? So why shouldn't our AI systems be built on our languages, our data, and our values? Today's conversation with this extremely esteemed panel is about how AI sovereignty can shape inclusivity in the digital economy. Our speakers that are here on the stage with me right now, including Yang Berhad Gobind Singh, Minister of Digital Malaysia, aren't just responding to this moment, they are shaping it. So I'm going to get this conversation cracking by referring first and foremost to Minister Gobind to tell us a little bit more about the National AI Office, Yang Berhad, which has been operational for almost a year now, and some thoughts on AI sovereignty and where we are right now as Malaysia and also within ASEAN.
Thank you very much, Tehmina. The Ministry of Digital was set up to look into digital transformation. This was end of 2023. At that point in time, the thinking was that technology was going to transform very quickly, and we already had conversations around AI. The Prime Minister was concerned about the country building structures that would prepare us for AI as we went along. So Ministry of Digital set up to look at infrastructure, to look at ensuring that there's security, there's trust, and also, importantly, making sure that there's talent that understands next generation technology and how you use it. So in all of this, there was a need to focus on AI. The Prime Minister discussed setting up an agency for it, so we set up the National AI Office. The idea behind it was to start conversations that ranged across all sectors, get in feedback about how society looked at AI, what they expected of government in terms of how we built regulatory structures around AI, and most importantly, to ensure that there was sufficient awareness about what AI could do, how it's going to impact on not just society, how it's going to impact on the economy, and also governance. Ultimately, AI is, you have opportunities to ensure that government digital services are, enhanced. You're going to get people conversing with government, looking at services online. Once you move into agentic AI, things are going to change as well. So it has been a journey of consultation. After a year, and I think Dr. Sam Majid, who heads the National AI Office, he's now come up with what we call suggestions for the government, and we are going to produce a document which is the National AI Plan that ranges from 2025 to 2030, which will basically focus on how we can use AI to improve those three sectors that I mentioned earlier, its impact on society, economy, and governance. In a broad nutshell, that's what it is. The institution that will actually see it through, well, that's still being discussed, but it's probably through MDAC. But I still think that ultimately what you need is to ensure that there's this conversation. You know how people are looking at AI, you know how people are looking at technology, people understand that government's looking at it as well, and ultimately we also look around us to see what our regional partners are doing and how the global world is dealing with new technology as well.
Absolutely, and things are moving much faster than we can legislate as well, so this is all going to be really supremely forward-thinking. Thank you, Yang Berhad. I'd like to move into asking Hann now, from where you sit and looking at the private sector, let's bring that into the conversation and how you envision exactly where we are as ASEAN and with us, regards to us owning our AI future, Hann, and how that might also, of course, then help to shape competitiveness, with quite often the private sector being the one that actually has to be the first investor for this infrastructure that is nationwide and now regional too.
Thank you so much, Tehmina. Hello, my name is Hann. I'm from YTL. I'm a third-generation leader at YTL, which is a Malaysian multinational conglomerate that we specialize in infrastructure and now energy and into AI. And just for context, I mean, we completely believe in this idea of AI sovereignty, and we really believe that every country needs to have its own AI systems, AI infrastructure, all the way to its large language models. And so in this regard, we've been working very closely with Honorable Minister and the Prime Minister and our Malaysian government in order to set up the infrastructure that will enable Malaysia to be completely AI sovereign. So in that regard, being in the infrastructure space, we've set up data centers. We have Asia's largest data center park, 600 megawatts solar-powered data center park in Johor, in Malaysia. We set that up 3 years ago. And on top of that, we've also announced a partnership with NVIDIA, where we're bringing the world's fastest chips into Malaysia. We have the new GB200 chips, the Blackwell chips, already operating in our facility in Johor. And this is a big coup for Malaysia because it enables us to have the compute infrastructure to power up our AI ambitions. And also 2 months ago, I think in front of Minister Gobind and our Prime Minister, we launched ILMU, which is Malaysia's first sovereign large language model. And why this is important is because it enables us to put in our context and our cultural norms into AI. And so we now have a large language model that is smart enough to understand our nuances as Malaysians. So it speaks back in Bahasa Malaysia, not Bahasa Indonesia. It enables us to understand Manglish, which is a smattering of Malay, English, and maybe Chinese and Indian influences, which maybe ChatGPT might not get. But also, it understands cultural nuances, like when you ask for a recipe in Malaysia, it might not include pork, for example. So these are all very important because as countries, as we want to elevate ourselves and adopt more AI, it has to not only be powerful, but it also has to be localized in order to increase that adoption. So this is what we see as the private sector. We've been investing early into this effort because we really believe in it. And with the support of the government, we believe that by laying down this infrastructure, we can have the building blocks for AI to thrive in this country. And the advantage that we have in Malaysia, having the end-to-end stack, we believe, is that we'll be able to move much faster. And we're already seeing that other countries in ASEAN are also looking at a similar approach.
Absolutely. It's also very interesting to note that in Indonesia, the government is also proposing the creation of a dedicated sovereign AI fund. So really speaking about the fact that the government and the private sector are very much hand in hand. From there, ladies and gentlemen, we shift into looking at a much bigger picture. Director General Hajar, you are actually operating at the heart of international digital cooperation. In your role at the DCO, tell us a little more about some of the most fruitful models that you're actually seeing, whether they be from the Gulf, the European Union, or even the African Union when it comes to AI and sovereignty.
Thank you, Tehmina, and I'm really honored to be here, and thank you for Mastercard for this invite. From a DCO perspective, or Digital Cooperation Organization, we have witnessed many of the models that have been very successful, including European Union, from a general data protection model, so GDPR, that helped the European Union to increase the trust of citizens and also increase the digital economy, specifically in the e-commerce side using AI. And that's also where Brussels activated the AI Act. That's a very successful model. On another hand, we have the African Union, so the African continental trade, free trade, and that's a very interesting model because it's helping also the e-commerce, but in addition to the trade sector using also the AI and collaborating with EU on that, which helps the continent of Africa today to increase, to go to 1 trillion in increase in GDP from this initiative. From DCU perspective, we also launched the Model Trade Agreement and AI Readiness Toolkit, where we are starting also to create hubs, and not only the national. Due to the lack of talent, we know that, for example, in the Middle East, 1% of the researchers in AI are only 1% in Africa also. So therefore, a talent gateway is really important to reinforce the resources and the capacity building in that era. Knowing all those models, but I want also to highlight ASEAN model. While Silicon Valley and Beijing are really in a competitive way who will create the largest model of AI, I think ASEAN shifted the narrative and did a game changer in terms of policy and governance. And the world is witnessing this change where they created really a geopolitical power. Since 2017 until today, 85 policies and also plans have been built in ASEAN, which shows that ASEAN is not only building competitiveness in terms of AI, who do have the best resources or parameters or patterns, but who do have the most competitive advantage in terms of cooperation and building bridge. And that's what is today a foundation of AI. It is really essential, and skillfully ASEAN managed or is elevating the trilemma of economic growth, AI governance, but also the stress of the actual global stress and economic stress.
Absolutely, and of course, AI governance and sovereignty cannot adopt a slow-paced model, not in this time and era of 2025, of course. Thank you, DG Hajar. Now we pick up the pace as we're moving towards shaping the future. Yang Berhormat, Minister Gobind, I come back to asking you. Now, as AI transforms every sector of society, how is Malaysia looking forward to ensuring that public good is still at the heart of it, instead of sidelined? Your thoughts, sir?
Tehmina, we have to acknowledge the fact that digital transformation will impact on everyone. Each and every one of us in this room are dependent on smart devices today. This is a huge shift from how we used to operate 10 years ago. Now, if you think about it, being dependent on devices today means that we are going to perhaps move ahead and become even more reliant on gadgets to shape the way in which we live as we go along. It is important, therefore, to appreciate that every single person has to be aware of what technology can do for them. They also have to understand that there are risks involved. And at the back of this, there's the role of government to ensure that you have regulatory processes in place so that we can ensure that data that we actually source, data that actually becomes the basis of what people see on their smart devices, is data that they can trust. Ultimately, they can rely on that data to make decisions. People make decisions on data that range. Some decisions on what you call less important, some decisions very important. I'll give you an example. If you want directions, you look at Waze, and you rely on that information and you go from A to B. It's okay if you get it wrong, maybe a wrong turn somewhere, you just make a U-turn, you go back. But if a doctor is going to conduct operations autonomously, and you have a language model that's involved in this whole process, you're looking at electronic medical records, a patient is unconscious, he's on the operating table, you're doing what you can based on data that you have. If that data is inaccurate, it could make all that difference. And I think this is where governments have to think about how it is they manage data. Because ultimately, as society becomes dependent on smart devices, we have to make sure that information that they have access to is information that is real, information that does not lead to severe consequences. And I think that's where the challenge is. It's moving very, very fast. Everyone has concerns, and I think most of us here, are thinking about how, we can navigate this together. But from a government perspective, and I say this, quite often, right? We have to look at it from a very different perspective from industry, for example, or even society. Because ultimately, while all these problems exist, someone needs to sit and think about how we can build that structure that is going to prepare our country for technology. We can use it when technology arrives, but we are ensured that it is safe and it is secure, and that you know for a fact that when you use that technology, it's going to benefit you instead of impose risks on you which could have really harmful consequences. So that's where we are coming from as government.
Absolutely. Government really does have their work cut out for them. I mean, the launch of SORA's updated model not even 3 weeks ago has already shown some of the potential harms, but at the same time, that gives us opportunities to think about how we can build that real trust infrastructure in an era of synthetic media, deep fakes, and so on and so forth. Much more to discuss about that, but I quickly want to jump back into asking DG Hajar. Now, if ASEAN is to shape global AI standards rather than to adopt them, Dr. El Haddaoui, what would be perhaps the one or two things at the top of your mind that you would recommend thoroughly?
Well, a very good question. I think adopting an AI framework in the ASEAN could be one of the options, as mentioned by Honorable Minister, is really gives the ASEAN the foundation for having a framework, but also a cross-border digital economy and digital literacy also. So to do so, I think it's important to work in a triple P way, and I've visited the ministry yesterday, Ministry of Digital, and I was quite positively surprised because I had more than 12 people around the table, and each and every one was from a different department: cybersecurity, AI, infrastructure, policy, and also other department in terms of science and digital. And I think that's what we need today, is having all the expertise in the room, but not only from government side, also from a private sector and public sector. This is key success factor, and it needs to be in early stage involvement. And I had this beautiful example yesterday during my visit to the Ministry of the Honorable Minister. On the other hand, I think we need to capitalize on capacity building and talent, because it's good to have the infrastructure, great to have the foundation and the policy, but if you don't have the resources and the capacity, we will end up by AI piloting and not co-piloting. And that's a very important point that is critical at the moment.
It's really important to be at that space where you're also engineering what you're using eventually. Han, so we're going to close this out with your thoughts, and this is really critical, of course, because when it comes to the private sector, it is likely going to be the silver key that is going to determine whether or not Southeast Asia becomes a global AI powerhouse, or perhaps what DG Hajar alluded to. Your thoughts moving forward right here, right now, at the end of 2025, and what's already been a year of such rapid acceleration that would not have been possible even 2 years ago.
I would just encourage both the public and private sector to just double down on AI and on innovation. And it's something that we see has the potential to really, be a game changer for businesses. Case in point is Right Bank. We got a digital bank license, and we just launched our bank last month, and we have, attracted hundreds of thousands of signups already in 4 weeks. And why? And how was this possible? It is the world's first AI-powered bank. And by AI-powered bank, what we mean is we are AI front and center. With our bank app, you can take a photo of any bill, snap and pay, and we've already automatic agentic payments for you. Other banks might talk about AI in the back end in terms of customer service, but we were wanting to put AI in the front end. And why did we do this? Because we saw that there was an inflection point when it came to AI and AI technology. And the question was, how can we step into this and use this to change our business? So having the infrastructure, the GPUs, also the ILMU large language model, enabled us to do that and think front and center about how to do this. And what's more important, and what I'm most proud of, it's that we built it with 30 engineers, 100% Malaysian, and powered using AI. So rather than having 200 engineers, we got 30 very senior engineers, gave them AI tools, and they could do it. And the best thing was that I'm a young Malaysian, and people always say that there's not enough talent in this country. Well, I do not agree. There is so much talent in this country. And there's so much talent overseas, and we talk about a brain drain. And what we're seeing is that by doing innovative projects like this, we are attracting graduates back to come back into the country because we are doing something that they believe in, and we're using this powerful technology to really empower our country. So I think, in summary, double down on new technologies and innovation, and I think that we can really, really go somewhere.
Absolutely, and thank you for sharing that Right Bank example. I think it's excellent that we're speaking about brain circulation, particularly in the context of AI sovereignty. Esteemed speakers, Yang Berhormat Gobind Singh, DG Hajar El Haddaoui, as well as, of course, Hann Yeoh. Thank you so much for an excellent, fast-paced, insightful conversation. Now let's just try and imagine If we could build the AI infrastructures of the future to overcome bias, to overcome gender bias, imagine what that would do for credit scoring, for business sustainability, and also for economic inclusivity. That's my time, ladies and gentlemen. Together with my panelists, I'm Tehmina Kaoosji, signing off for now, and back to our MCs.
Thank you.